So hello and welcome to Mixologist, the place on the internet thingy where carburation consumer advice is given. So in today's episode what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about the carburetor kits or the repair kits that you get for carburetors. And I'm going to use the build of this Holley 390 CFM as an example. I think it's a representative example of something that anybody can get, you know, in there. They just buy something off the internet and they just want to buy a kit. So let's start with kits. So as you can see, and this is going to become important later in the video. As you can see, this kit is completely sealed, so it's brand new. It has absolutely all the elements that I need to rebuild a carb, so they're quite good. So this is important, and therefore now what we need to do is start taking this apart. And I'm gonna try and do throughout this video is show you when is a carburetor kit a winner and what are their limitations. Why? So on a general sense, carb kits tend to be really good if you want to just, you know, freshen up a carburetor. So you've got a carburetor that is relatively in good condition, it's working relatively well, maybe it's just getting on a bit, and you want to give it a, you know, once over refresh. Maybe it's the winter, you park the car, or you've taken some bits off the engine and you want to just renew it a bit. Okay, these things are real winners, because you can freshen up your carb, just slam it back on the engine, and you know you're going to have carb for a long time and it's going to work just fine. Yeah. However, these carbs have some limitations. Also, they have a cost disadvantage to some other way of obtaining your parts, because the good thing about this carb is they're applicable to a wide variety of Holley carbs like this one. So, you know, vacuum secondary, list 1850, 600 CFM, 390, whatnot. They will go in, they will rebuild your carb. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. However, the problem with this is that when you finish the job, and I'm going to show you what I'm on about at the end of this video, when you finish the job, you're going to get a lot of parts that are left over that you have paid, and now they probably sit on a shelf. So I buy a lot of these things on the internet for people that have used them and they got lots of useful parts, but not for them. Why? Because they just rebuild the carb, put it back on the engine, and that's it. And they've got a lot of stuff that is kind of hanging over, which for me is useful because I do so many of them that I always need parts. Yeah, they do have limitations though, and we might come onto them in the rest of the video. The limitations is if your carburetor is missing any bit of hardware, so all the screws and anything like that, then this is probably not going to be a winner because it doesn't come with hardware. There are some kits that are even more expensive than this one that they're called master rebuild kits. Now those, they do come with some hardware, so I mean if your carb is in a really bad shape, you need to buy a master rebuild kit if you can obtain one. And the other thing is that there are key things that can be done with this kit, which is if you need to take the base plate apart. If you need to take the base plate apart, unfortunately this is not going to be a winner. I mean, it's going to have a lot of parts, but you're not going to be able to do the job. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of take this carb apart very quickly and do an initial diagnostic of the condition or what's it like, and then we'll go through with trying to ascertain the usefulness and the pros and cons of a rebuild kit. Okay, so let's have a look here what we are working with. What are my first impressions? So first impressions is that this unit is in relatively very good condition, mostly. There are a couple of things that were obviously wrong. So this, look at this, and look at this. So the fuel level setting in this car was like totally all over the place. This would have like leaked fuel all over the place. So obviously this isn't a winner. But anyway, if you've got the kit, you've got a new needle and seat assembly and you can do it. The only problem here, if you look at this, is that this is quite damaged. So this could be a problem. I mean, yeah, I think it's beyond salvage. You need to put a brand new one of these, and they don't come in the kit. So already you've got a problem there. So that's one. But the biggest problem here is going to be this base plate. Hope you can see it from there. All the corrosion in here, and what this has caused is the following. The primary opens okay. You can see there is still some corrosion in the primary as well, and general gack. But what happens? The secondary shaft is completely frozen. That's really bad news, because now I'm gonna have to take obviously both the shafts off. And these screws, they generally don't come in the kit. We'll check it now, and we'll see it. But so if you wanted to rebuild this particular carb with that particular kit, it wasn't going to work. You would have had to have a master rebuild kit for in order for this to work. The other thing is, especially if you're building a Holley carb for the first time, is always keep the old gaskets. Why? Just in case. Because you might have to check that you've got the same bits, especially this one, because this is the metering block that has like a connector like so, and if you haven't got this style gasket in your kit, you're gonna be in trouble basically. Or maybe not, because what I do, if you've got the normal metering block kits, let me show you one. So this is one of the normal ones, and as you can see, this one has got this little notch for when this tube is. So what I do generally, if at a pinch, you can get a Stanley knife or cutter or whatever, and you just cut it like this. The minimum possible, and that's it. You got it. So that's a little handy tip if you want to save some money. But always it's good to keep the old gaskets anyway. So now what I've got to do is I've got to disassemble this base plate and clean everything, let's say properly, and we're ready to start doing the reassembly. But obviously we wouldn't have been able to do it with the kit. I need all this extra parts. So as you can see here, it's a few days later, but we've got this that is now thoroughly cleaned out, ultrasonic cleaner, a little bit of blasting, and now it's time to dish out the rebuild kit to see what can we get from here. Is it complete? Is it not complete? And what not? So let's open this up and see what we've got in the box. Okay, so here are the typical components of your kind of more or less standard Holley kit. You've got a pile here of gaskets, and you've got, so these are the consumable gaskets for any vacuum secondary carb. Then you've got your base plate provision, so 600, 750 in this particular kit. So already we are having a problem because we haven't got a 390 specific kit that we would need here. The other thing in here, if you notice, which I explained before, that this kit is not necessarily compatible with this sort of metering block, if you can see it there, because this one's got the transfer tube, so that's a problem. But then it comes with a power valve, which is the correct one, 6.5 power valve. Obviously, if this was a marine carb, this power valve would probably be incorrect. So that's another issue. If you're doing marine carbs, you need to have marine specific ones. We've got an accelerator pump here, that's good enough. Needle and seat assemblies and all the other seals that we need. So this is your kind of typical component of a carb. So I would say this one is for a 600 CFM or a 750 CFM vacuum secondaries, but certainly wouldn't work for this sort of carb. Is this that much of a problem? Well, I don't think so, because I've got all the other bits. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get from my parts bin all of the other bits that I need to build this carb, and I'm gonna you know, slam it back together. The other thing I haven't mentioned as well is that you remember, because I had to take the throttle plates, this kit doesn't come with any fixings for the throttle plates, so therefore you would have had to either recycle the old ones, which I tend not to do, or you're gonna have to purchase separate new ones. So all in all, for this particular carb, this code of kit, which is, let me show you there, 37.7.4, is no bueno. Basically, it's no good for a list 007. So at least we've determined that. So you see a little bit of consumer advice we're giving here. If you got a list 007, don't buy that kit, because it ain't gonna work. So let's try and rectify this situation and just slam this car back together. Okay, so now I've finished this unit, finished building it, and here's the problem, what I was saying before. I mean, you've got bits that are left over, so these two gaskets and this gasket, but this isn't left over because it's left over. It's left over because I had to use a different style of gasket in here. So the verdict is, if you have a list 8007 390 CFM Holley, do not buy a 37754 carb kit. I think this kit in particular is not very good at all, because it doesn't even have the O-rings for the transfer slot here. So obviously, if you're dealing with a 600 or 750 carb that has cathedral style fuel bowls, yep, you're golden for that. But other than that, I would not buy this 37754 kit in any way. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good value for money. But I do want to show you, because it isn't my, funny enough, it's not my first rodeo with carb kits. So I've got a couple of these kits like this, and this used to be kind of the old packaging of Holley kits. And if you can get any of this, these are real winners. So I've got here that this is for a 4150 governed carburetor, which I haven't done one on the channel, but I've got the kit here waiting for kind of the material to arrive. And this is for a kind of Holley Weber carb from a Chrysler car. But again, these things are real winners. If you can get an old stock carb kit, they're of really good quality. So I hope that you got some kind of consumer advice out of this. Carb kits, yeah, they do have their places, but be careful what you buy. Do not buy the 37754, and especially if you want to, unless you are after some specific parts and that you can put in a parts bin, do not buy incomplete carb kits or kits that have been opened. Why? Because sometimes they put photos of stuff and they include things that are kind of used, and so it's very few things in there are gonna be actually useful. So you need to, unless you really know what you're looking for, you need to be really careful, and just my advice is just don't bother. But anyway, I hope you got something out of this this video. I hope it was helpful. And now what I need to do is I need to start working on more projects, because time is of the essence, and I'll see you on the next episode.